Hello. Can you hear us, chat?
We coming through loud and clear? Maybe,
Inquisition's
possibly.
been very
a little
rude.
bit.
I didn't
Yeah,
say
they
that. He said that.
keep
He said
I didn't say that either. I didn't say anything. No, I'm not here. I was never here. Never heard of me.
Uh-huh. Adam's
Audio's
fault.
good. It's exciting.
Yes.
Some games.
Excellent.
Get some SoCal in ya.
Let's go to table 1 first. There's been a lot of action at table 1.
Yeah, well, this is the Brick Taylor versus who's the Brick Taylor versus Logan Heath. So this is the freebooters versus sisters. Now we've been told that the freebooters went first, and I've put a bit of a pounding onto the sisters.
Unfortunately, this was the acid test we were talking about that you couldn't hear us for, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, sisters going into the freebooters all shooting list probably wasn't gonna pair well. So
yeah, exactly right. It was just a factor of, can you go the distance? He has got some pretty amazing units in the things like the 20-man brick of sisters in there that can be really, really indomitable and just prop up and just decide not to die. But look what we're seeing right now. It's just all over the table.
Yeah.
It's only turn 1, and they've just Voltron straight out, taking up as much board as they can. This sisters list doesn't have a huge amount of aggressive assets, and I want to say, I wonder how the terrain has ended up the way it is, because it doesn't look like there's anything to hide about in the sisters deployment zone.
Yeah, well, I was watching them place, and it looked like the sisters just expected that the orcs were going to be all over them no matter what, and wanted to just have large firing lanes.
Yeah.
But I don't think the sisters list just has enough anti-tank aggressiveness in order to deal with that much firepower.
Exactly right.
I mean,
thank you to everyone.
How does the sisters deal with planes? That's my question. I don't see
exactly
how.
Right. Well, I don't see how either. Thanks to everybody who's stuck with us. Really appreciate you guys. There's just not much we can do. There's so many moving pieces involved in such an extravagant, hopefully an extravagant production. But thank you. So please spread the word. We're going to be here. We're going to be going hard, going strong for the rest of the day with the last 2 rounds.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining.
And so, yeah, thank you very much for sticking with us. Really appreciate it. Yeah, spread the word. We're back, and won't be stopping from here. Write us down the one of the lists here. Pick whichever one you like, and just run us down it.
Okay, so since I talked about Orks last time, I'll talk about the sisters this time because it is another faction that I play. So he's running I completely forgot the ability that
Sacred Rose gives.
It's Sacred Rose. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm collecting myself here. So the Sacred Rose player, so he's running something that I wasn't exactly expecting. He's got a little smattering of everything. So he's running a Sacred Rose detachment with some Arcoflagellants. It looks like a token 3-man Arcoflagellants, a Canoness with, of course, Beacon of Faith, and the Emperor's Grace, which is, if you don't know, the fight lasts and the once per game ignore all impulse within a bubble. He's got a Palatine with Rapturous Blows, which is, again, if you don't know, the once per game, a bubble of all sisters within range can do mortal wounds on 6 to wound. Triumph, so some Battle Sisters, 3 Battle Sisters units, 1 blob, 2 small units. These 1 unit of Sacrosanct, a Celestian squad. Sorry, Dogmata, Hospitaller. Hospitaller obviously running with the 20 blob, I would assume, to try and keep them alive as long as possible.
You got to assume.
A Preacher, 1 unit of full Sisters Repentia unit, which probably died very quickly, and then 2 units of Seraphim, likely to score objectives. An Exorcist, which is, I feel like that's a style pick more than anything else. So you and I were just talking about that.
We were lamenting the fall of the Exorcist.
I think you were lamenting. I was like, hell yeah, that model looks awesome, even though it got nerfed real bad.
It just got shot pretty bad because there's a big old Exorcist-shaped hole in his deployment zone. If you can see on your viewing screen right now, that's the dead pile for the sisters. Continue, mate. Wrap up the rest.
And then 1 unit of Mortifiers and 1 unit of Retributors, which you and I were talking about. We think there just wasn't enough teched into dealing with freebooters in order to really stand a chance.
Well, it looks like a good anti-Drukhari list. Like, it's kind of a no redundancy anti-Drukhari list. Like, it's like, I'm a good player and I can cop a hit from most of your army. Most of my good things are going to be insulated behind this 20-man, so I can protect all my good stuff, so I get to use it. But these planes just don't care. They just fly over, ruined everything in the army on 2s. This is why I was really scratching my head why he didn't get a terrain piece anywhere. He doesn't have a single relevant terrain piece in his deployment zone. I don't understand. Why don't you want to have cover versus Dacker jets?
Okay, so my prediction is that with the design of the table, he just probably assumed that there was no way that he was going to be able to hide from that many squig buggies and that many planes, and just was trying to open fire lanes. I think not only does this list look like it's paired against Drukhari, but also paired against AdMech, because if they're doing the AdMech list without the flyers that just has the 3 chickens, the Exorcist can just pop 2 CP and shoot out of line of sight and take the chickens out.
Yeah.
And he has enough token units that the do you remember the name of that AdMech secondary that allows maintain his own vehicles and kill enemy units?
Yeah, no, I can't quite. I'll tell you in 1 second. I've got actually
something the flesh.
We had enough time that I managed to pull up all the secondaries. It is Eradication of Flesh.
Eradicate the Flesh, yes. So it looks like that's like a tech. I think the Exorcist is a tech piece to get rid of Eradicate the Flesh. But against this Orc freebooters list, I mean, you and I were looking in and saying, like, what is his plan?
Yeah, what is his plan in this matchup? And of course, this isn't a great mission for him. It's not like a battle lines where you can just hunker down in 2 positions and just hold board. It's a 6 objective mission where the objectives are really spread out. Like, you actually have to have 2 or 3 strong spheres of influence. I find this is a mission that a lot of people struggle with. For those following along at home, this is Surround and Destroy, which has a secondary that I've never heard of. And I've never heard of anybody taking, so we're not even going to touch on it.
No.
But it's a hold 1, hold 2. It's a Dawn of War. You got 2 objectives in your deployment zone, but they're really far apart. They're 40 inches apart, man. So it's really hard to support each other. And so what I see a lot of people do is they pick either the left objective, the right objective, deploy their entire army on it, and then go straight up for the midboard 2 objectives, because the midboard 2 objectives are only 20 inches away.
You usually see what's coined the swirl, where you see people end up making it a hammer and anvil deployment, and they just go all up one side.
Yeah. Well, I kind of think of that as Vanguard. You start in one corner or quarter, and then you just go straight diagonally into your opponent, through the middle.
You aim for that, yes.
Yeah, hopefully scoring all the points as you go through. It's a really interesting concept. But man, look at the footprint of this Buggy's army. Like this, I mean, there's only
just everywhere.
There's like 20 models in his list, and it's just the whole board's taken up. The whole board has just got stuff in it.
Yeah, and I mean, it looked like, just seeing that dead pile, that looked to be at least 700 to 800 points already gone. So, I mean, if you're looking at turn 1 and almost 50% of your army is gone, I mean, this is a massive uphill battle. We'll see if he can pull it out. But
just to quickly encapsulate the secondaries, Logan, the Orc player, has taken Engage North Front, Grind Them Down, and Assassination. I think he's going to get very close to maxing all of those. I feel at this point.
Well, if I remember correctly, with the changes that they made, Flyers can't ever score primary points, but they can still score secondaries. So he will have engaged max points turn 1, which they just scored. Grind Them Down. He may not actually get max points on that, only because he's
killed so much.
Too much.
Too big a bite of the pie turn 1.
So maybe 9 points Grind Them Down is my prediction, but Assassination is going to be maxed out. I don't see how he's not going to get that.
This is one of the things that I struggle with Sisters, and we were actually talking about this off air. You find with Sisters, you end up with your 2 or 3 beefy characters that are going to go and do a lot of work, and then just like 3 or 4 just like 4 wound, 5 wound, nothing, 3 up armor save characters you can just pick up whenever, and you can just pick up a bunch of points here, there, and everywhere.
So we're going to hop over now to table 2 and see what's going on over there.
Exactly right. This is our game between Mr. Sean Naden and Mr. Matthew Gaia. So this is AdMech versus Naden's very special take on Drukhari. What are your thoughts here, dude?
Okay, so going through his list real quick. So a friend of mine and I were actually talking about this list before the tournament, and we think that this list was solely designed to fight freebooters. It's a lot of very cheap Venoms that are clearly designed to go up the board as fast as possible and just tag as much. Tagging, if you don't know, means to engage in combat but not expect to do damage, but hold them there. So essentially, they can't shoot, because the freebooters don't have, unlike Blood Axes, don't have the ability to fall back from combat and still shoot. So essentially, you're taking all of their efficiency away and scoring objectives. Because the one thing
Exactly right.
freebooters actually, we talked about this yesterday, the all-ins freebooters list does not actually hold objectives well. So they're expecting to just do as much damage as they can turn one. So his list we're looking at has it's got a Cult of Strife detachment, of course, because Cult of Strife is incredible.
Yes.
Now, I will say the one style pick he may have chosen is Lilith Hesperex herself.
Did you say style pick and Sean Naden's list in the same thing? The whole thing is a style pick.
Listen. There's tech choices in there.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah,
in my opinion, is Lilith actually any good? Debatable.
Yeah. Look, yeah, debatable. Is she better than a regular succubus? Probably not. Because of how good a succubus can be.
I think both the flails, precision blows, succubus, and the competitive edge with the triptych whip are both way more efficient, and far cheaper. So he has got Lilith Hesperex, he's got a succubus, he's got 1 unit of blood brides, 1 unit of regular witches, because of course he's running multiple patrols. And then he's got a Cabal of the Poison Tongue detachment, which, if you don't know, it's the enhanced poison
attacks. And also brings a redeploy stratagem as well, which is very key.
And it's a 3-unit redeploy post first turn, so it's excellent.
Huge, yeah.
And it also makes all of the venoms, because obviously he has 6 venoms, so they're all wounding on 3s with their poison, which is a big deal. So he's got 6 venoms, as we said. He's got an Archon. He's got Drazar. I don't think you'd ever see unless it's like a full style list, you'll never see it without an Archon and without Drazar. I think they're key units. You should always have them. 1 unit of Kabbalah Trueborn, 2 units of Incubi, a whole smattering of Venoms. 6 Venoms, so many Venoms. And then he's got a 3rd detachment that is a special, what do they call it? It's Cabal's...
Custom Coven.
Coven, sorry. Covens.
Yeah.
He's got a custom Coven detachment. Or I guess it's a mixed detachment with an Archon, a Succubus, 1 unit of Trueborn, 2 units of Rax, another unit of Incubi, and then a unit of Mandrakes with 2 more Venoms. So 8 Venoms.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just, this is a go at them. Everything's cheap. Score objectives, and against freebooters tag a lot of things. But against, as you were saying, against a flyer-based AdMech list, how do you think he pairs against this?
I think he pairs extremely poorly. I don't know how he kills the planes. I think the planes just get to play the whole game. Maybe he kills one if he puts both unit of Trueborn in, or maybe he procs the strat so he gets poison against vehicles. But that's a big CP investment for possibly not a lot of damage.
Is that enough? I don't think so.
It's not enough to kill multiple flyers. I'm of the opinion he gets to kill one, and that's if he really wants to, and then the guy just has 3 flyers. So I'm of the opinion, ignore the flyers. They're just going to do what they do. It's unfortunate. Trap, stop being shot. So get your witches in, trap everything, and that's what he's here to do. He's got a very aggressive list.
We've just learned from one of our pit bosses, our boys behind the scene, that he's already lost 5 Venoms.
He's already lost 5. I was about to say, unless he's got 1 in reserve. I predicted he may have 1 in reserve because he's taken to the last, and his to the last choices are 3 of his characters. So putting them in a single Venom and keeping that 1 in reserve felt like it made sense to me, because you could always poison tongue it back into reserve should you deploy it on the table and go second. So I thought that made sense to me. But yeah, hearing that he has straight up lost 5, that's a big deal. That's a very big deal.
And I agree with this to the last choice. I think it was like the best of what he had available, because he also had Court of the Archon, I believe. So they're very, very difficult to shoot, even when out of the transports, which eventually the AdMech will just shoot down all of the transports. Their efficiency is just too high. So yeah, I mean, I think that going into this matchup, the Flyers are a severe problem. I think also part of the problem with AdMech Flyers is that they're more agile than even Eldari Flyers. So they're just always going to be a board presence.
They're always just going to be on the damn table. It's so obnoxious that they get that. So quickly, I'll transition. I told you about the AdMech list that he's up against, and I'd say this is an uphill battle for Sean. Not that anything is too bad a thing, but list versus list.
We're talking about Sean and Aiden here, so he could still pull it out.
So this gentleman has a battalion attachment. It is a Skitarii veteran cohort, and Mars is the Forge World. He has a Marshal and a Manipulus. a unit of 17 Rangers, a unit of 5 Rangers, and a unit of 20 Vanguard. Then he has a unit of 8 Ruststalkers, a unit of 6 Ruststalkers, 3 single Ballistari with las cannons, that's chicken walkers, and then 2 Stratoraptors with the chaff launchers for the -1 damage. Very, very potent, very powerful, far too good for their points, in my opinion. Then he's got a patrol detachment. This one is also of Mars. Once again, veteran cohort, you have to take it if you take it any at all. Another 5 Rangers, 2 units of 5 Cerberus Raiders, and a Bomber, and another Stratoraptor. This list is I'm just going to say it. This list is toxic. This list is toxic as hell. And it's going to be really hard to beat. It's really, really hard to beat.
Now, granted, Naden did have the ability to actually, with the 3+ poison, I believe, to clear those infantry blobs fairly well.
And that's the game plan, obviously. Slaughter the infantry, wrap and trap with witches whatever you can to stop yourself getting tabled, sit the objectives, and ruin his score. As it sits right now, I think the only reason Sean may win this is because he went first. If he went second, oh, my God.
Yeah.
My God.
I don't... you and I talked about that beforehand. I don't think he had very much of a chance if he had gone second, especially because there's a very good possibility he could lose maybe 2 to 4 Venoms turn 1, which I think at that point would have just been lights out. Because
mate, I still think he loses 5. I still think he loses 5 if he goes second. Like even. Yeah. So. One moment, guys. We're just having a word in our ear. Easy done. Yeah, I still think if he went second and did all the crafty redeploy, so he still cops 4 planes and probably still cops the unit of Rangers. Admittedly, possibly they get around, and in addition, maybe cops the Service Raiders as well. But
it's just immensely hard.
It's immensely hard, and this is a bad mission for him as well, because he has to have stuff everywhere. You have to have stuff everywhere to do this, where he wants to be in a concentrated ball, get as many, he wants to get his unit of witches to just run up and tap one of the 20-mans, and then pin all his other units off it with only 1 or 2 people swinging. So they don't die, get to clean them up in your turn, and then pivot on and swing into the rest of his force. But even in saying that, he's got 2 units of Ruststalkers. They can counter assault and pick up a bunch of Dark Eldar units.
Yeah, well, especially because they're hyper efficient against witches with their ability to do mortal wounds on 6s just natively, so they will get through the 4-up invuls of the witches. So
agreed. If it wasn't Sean Naden playing this game, I'd say there was almost no hope of winning this. I would be like, this is a 95% win for the AdMech.
I would agree with that mostly. So if we can we pop over to table 3?
We were just told that our production booth has had to step away to do his COVID test in order to get on the plane to go home after this event. So there we go. Yeah, we did hit a transition. This is the wonderful Hayden Navarro versus Scott Toby.
Yeah, so let's talk about the armies real quick. I'll talk about the Death Guard because I will admit I am still a bit confused about Be'lakor and his disciples.
Well, I have a couple of the best Chaos players in the world in my local meta. The absolute bastards beat me up consistently. So yeah, that seems fair.
So I love this Death Guard list. So this Death Guard list is 2 detachments, 1 of the Inexorable and 1 of the Wretched, which were interesting picks. I was surprised he didn't take the detachment that gives him the furnace, since he has so many vehicles, but let's go through it. He's got a Malignant Plaguecaster. He's got 3 of my boys, the Fetid Bloat Drones with Flash Mowers. I love them. I love them so much.
I adore them. I think they're so good at the moment.
And they have a weapon called the Flesh Mower. How can you not like that? Gotta tend the Garden of Nurgle, man. And then he's got a unit of Myphitic Blight Haulers. Actually, he's got 2 units. He's got, it looks like 1 single 1 unit of 3. And then he's got another detachment with a Malignant Plaguecaster and 3 PBCs. I mean, wow, is that that's chonky. That's hard to get through.
Yeah, it's real chunky. Apologies, this game does seem to be a little bit on the dark side. I'm not sure there's much we can do about that. It might just be the lighting in the venue.
Yeah.
But yeah, so onto the Chaos side of things. This is a Disciples of Be'lakor list, and props to this man. He is currently undefeated, I believe, doing extremely well. Disciples of Be'lakor, Chaos Undivided Battalion starts off, of course, with Be'lakor and a Changecaster. His troops consist of a 30-man Bloodlet unit, a 20-man Bloodlet unit, and a 23 horror unit, big horror unit. He's got 9 Beasts of Nurgle in his elite slots, so that's 9 of the hardest to kill for their pointer units in the game. I love it. 2 single Fiends to be a nuisance and to prevent some fallbacks if possible. 2 groups of 5 Furies. Then he goes into his patrol detachment, also of Disciples of Be'lakor. This one has a sorcerer in it. a unit of 10 Chaos Cultists and a unit of 5 Havocs with all with the chain
Reaper
cannons.
chain
And
cannons, yes.
rounding it off, he has a Rhino. So I don't mind this list. I'm very impressed it's gone this deep into the event.
Well,
It's
you and I talked about the tactics beforehand, and it was clear that the idea of this list was it has a lot of anti-infantry and anti-chaff, so probably to just bum rush the Brace of Nurgle to center field as fast as possible and clear screens with everything else, and then just swamp the whole board.
Keep the Havocs untargetable through the Be'lakor jank. Get up the board. Drop down your bombs after you've cleared the screens with all the horrors and the chain cannons. Get them nice and deep. The thing is that I think he's all his offensive profiles are just going into the wrong defensive profiles. Like, where does he have a good weapon into, apart from Be'lakor, of course, where does he have a good weapon into all this Death Guard toughness? It's actually kind of nuts.
I think that he didn't have a plan for this much Death Guard vehicleness. I think his plan was to surround them and not let them play the game. And then, I mean, he's got 3 demon blobs, which what does any of the Death Guard units do in combat against them? There is no combat defense against these. So he can literally just come down and swamp the entire Death Guard army. This is the reason I don't like that he didn't take the play company that has the furnace as its strat.
Yeah.
Because it would at least allow the units with blast to fire into combat and have some kind of defense against this strategy exactly.
Yeah.
So
now, so this demon play is actually doing what I remember what I said before. You posture up in in one of the table corners and then shoot for the middle of the table. He's done that with his Beast of Nurgle in the bottom left and then his Rhino in the left as well. Rhino shot up to the top left of the board, and looks like he's got a Fiend up there in the top left-hand corner in combat with that PBC, keeping it there. The Beast of Nurgle moving across the middle of the table. Looks like they've got a couple of Psychers in tow, giving them some support. I don't see the Horrors on the table, so they're either being picked up or it's what the remnants of them are just sitting there behind Be'lakor on the right-hand side. There's another Fiend directly above those crates, and then the top right-hand side, it is the second of the Bloodletter bombs has come in, has now been engaged by 2 Flesh Mowers, and looks well and truly compromised. We know that he brought one down turn 2, I believe, and it's already been picked up. So I'm assuming, actually, what's that right in the back right-hand corner? That might be his cultists.
That's probably
look like
cultists
horrors.
Or horrors. I was going to say that
like
was probably
models.
horrors. I mean, horrors don't really have a function other than, I would believe, screen or just a wrap mechanic.
Well, that's right. What are they going to do? A fully buffed, they won't kill. They might kill it, maybe in the best of times, kill a Mythic Blightholder. Maybe.
That is wishful thinking, my friend.
It is very wishful thinking.
I don't know. And obviously, we have Be'lakor sitting right here on the center right objective. Do you think that the Death Guard actually has the true capability to get rid of Be'lakor?
Well, they're betting on it. He's in heroic intervention range of those Blighthaulers, and he moved the Blighthaulers up to be there. So I'm assuming this is the all-in on Be'lakor turn. Looks like he's lining up at least 2 PBCs to put into him, a full unit of Blighthaulers, possibly even a third Blightholder. A single Blightholder behind the second PBC, just in the middle left. He's going to all in Be'lakor this turn. I think he's just going to all in him.
We're going to go back to table 1. So I've been told that the Orks actually only have 38 minutes left on their clock.
Holy moly.
They spent all of their clock on turn 1.
What's that? They're 3-hour rounds. So that dude did like 52 minutes in his turn 1.
And deployment, I guess. So, but
golly.
Also, as far as I can see, this is all that's left of the sisters.
Yeah. You're left saying, does it matter, I guess? Like, you know?
Probably not. So I think predictions are right on the money. That grind them down is maybe 3 points. Because
maybe 3 points.
There's one turn, and then the entire army is gone. And that's unfortunate, but that was also almost exactly what we predicted in this matchup.
Exactly right. Yeah. He killed 3/4 of his opponent's army turn 1. Yeah. So it's just an unfortunate reality. Look, we're not going to dodge the point that we think this build is not good for the game.
Yes.
This was a top table. This was the 2 undefeated players with the highest scores, and it was a coin flip game. Essentially, even saying that, we still think the Orks would have won had they gone second. Yeah.
I believe so. Only because, unlike what I love, which is Brandon Grant's, I think Brandon Grant's sisters list is a weird tech that actually
Yeah,
can
I think that's the least.
severely punish freebooters, because it's
Into this, yeah.
you kill freebooters units with his retributors, and then they die and still cook freebooters units, which is exactly what you want.
Well, dude,
But
I also think that's the better list into Grey Knights, and I think that's the better list into Drukhari a lot of the times as well.
yes, I think he found the tech that matches very well in the meta right now. But yes, I think that this, I'm seeing flashbacks to 6+ Eldari flyers in the past, and I'm like, why are we still having the flyer problem in the game? And
Yeah,
it's something
exactly
you and I
right.
talked about. It's something that needs to be balanced out, because essentially not being able to play the game because they can just swamp you turn one with all of these flyers is not good.
Well, we both agree there should be like no sub like 170 point flyers in the game. Every flyer should just like start at 170 and then add all your upgrades from there.
Probably good as well to have a separate detachment only as you're to access the flyers, and you have to take a minimum
we joked about that as an interesting fix. What if they did like a super heavy detachment for flyers? So you have to spend 3 CP to put it in your list, and then you have to take a minimum of 2 flyers. So you can't just take a single Fire Raptor just to be a cheeky, this is my invincible Iron Hands Fire Raptor, etc., etc. I mean, it does suck for the Fire Raptors players out there, but we can't have it all.
It's probably just better for the overall balance, though.
Exactly right. It probably is. Thanks to everybody sticking with us in chat. Appreciate you all. Lucas Troller, he's written for the Orks. I think you're correct in rooting for the Orks. They look like they're absolutely smashing it. Death Voodoo, holy S, is this Bricky? Unfortunately, yes. Bricky went second against Orks and lost probably 1,200, 1,300 points of his army turn one, and just didn't have a chance to contest the table. Absolutely rough day at the office. We're going to switch over to table 2. But just because there's not much left to see here, we'll get a final score for you guys as soon as it gets chucked in. But look, that went exactly as we thought it was going to.
Oh, now here's an interesting. I've got a postulation for you.
Yep.
What does Naden's list do against? I said it was paired well to take care of freebooters, but if he doesn't go first, does the list just hope to survive with the -1 to hit against freebooters? I mean, we saw yesterday that's punishing in the freebooters list is -1 to hit.
Yeah, -1 to hit is very punishing. And again, the redeploy is a really big deal for Naden as well. He can chuck a hell of a lot of stuff back into reserve from the table. If I was him, I would put a bunch of stuff in reserve already. Maybe even start 3, spend 2 or 3 CP, put 2 or 3 Venoms, fully loaded into reserve, and then see who goes first and chuck 2 or 3 more with the Poison Tongue. And so you just dodge the entire Alpha Strike.
Oh,
no Alpha Strike
interesting.
For you. Yeah,
I almost. Oh, sorry. I was gonna say I almost feel that if he should keep almost everything on the table, and he should.
Well, exactly. It's one or the other, isn't it?
I feel like he should have found out. He basically should have just committed to a corner against this type of list. He put as much terrain in a corner and do a feint and make it so that you can't actually place the flyers to see most of his army and have most of it -1, and then just swamp as many of the Orks as he can turn 1. Because I think other than that, there's no real play. Just try and deny the Orcs movement, because as we've seen, the real Achilles heel of freebooters is 1, mobility, because there's just too many vehicles, and 2, -1 to hit natively everywhere is a problem. Now, he does have a lot of little throwaway units that can proc freebooters and proc it multiple times. So -1, I don't know how it's going to hold as well as it did for the Terminator bombs.
Yeah, well, it's not. Is it? I mean, a Venom is actually not a bit of a difficult thing for the freebooters to pick up. Literally, the freebooters need to really pick up a Venom with their first activation. Otherwise, it starts to get a bit awkward for them. But mind you, we were joking that like a Wazbomb Blaster Jet just kills a Venom, right? It just kills the Venom. And so it's always a good option that he has. If you have one of those in your freebooters list, you're pretty much always guaranteed to get a Venom, because like you're gonna be hitting on 5s at worst.
At worst,
and you're gonna have 2d6 las cannon shots, and all you need to do is get one of those through, and you just pick
las
them up.
Cannons. What game are you playing? Las cannons are still d6 damage, not d3 plus 3.
AdMech las cannons. What are you talking about?
Those aren't las cannons. Those are Cognis las cannons.
Cognis las cannons. That's fair. So we're into turn 2 we're at the top of turn 2 for Mr. Sean Naden. As you can see, huge investment of resources into the bottom right hand corner. What I thought was going to happen, he's going in there because it's the furthest position away from the Ruststalkers. If you can see, there's a big block of Ruststalkers just to the left, the center left into the AdMech deployment zone, right behind that flyer. Big blob of Ruststalkers there, which makes me think the other unit of Ruststalkers is in the bottom right. It's probably going to be accounted for this turn. Either that or it's off the table, which I think would have been a huge mistake.
Well,
if that was
obviously his best option for the Ruststalkers, depending on if one has the Relic Temper Cordia or not, he can just swamp them and take one unit out real quick.
Yeah, exactly right. I actually think I see the last man of that unit, to be honest. See where that green venom is? Just to the bottom right of that green venom, there is a Ruststalker model with a
You think
wound
that
on it.
there?
That's the last one from that squad, I believe. I think that's where he went with his resources turn 1. Hit the Ruststalkers hard, dodge the other unit, go in, swamp, trap a bunch of squads off one of these 20-man blocks, and then eat your way across.
So
As it sits
yeah,
right now, that Ruststalker unit can't get there. It's got three
no.
single las cannon chickens and a flyer in the way. There's no way that Ruststalker makes it to the other side. Well, to get into good stuff at least. Maybe it gets into some racks or whatnot with the 3d6 charge tentacle.
Which then he immediately gets countercharged and then loses his only other melee asset, which is a big deal. And it looks like Nathan's following his plan exactly, which is to just completely ignore the flyers and go for the meat of the AdMech army.
Exactly right. Yeah, a lot of we sparked a bit of conversation in the chat, which we like. People pointing out the Dreadnoughts are also a bit of an abusive list. Yeah, some really good discussion there. Keep it up, guys. I love reading you guys are chatting along with each other.
We're talking about
some of this
just
stuff.
General Space Marine Dread spam, or are we talking about facilities or in general?
Yeah, I think they're saying Dreadnoughts are fine. They don't have all the jank. Yeah, Dreadnoughts are actually pretty fine, I think. They're pretty linear used thing. Like, you can pretty much look on the list to know how tough they're going to be, how hard they're going to shoot.
The functionality is very narrow.
Yeah, it's very straight up and down. They're extremely good, extremely potent, extremely powerful. But like we said, like it's easy to account for them, which is why you don't see them winning events. Because people are just like, well, okay, so they're good into this, but they're bad into melters. Retributors, eradicators. Like we said, Cognis las cannons. They're very
Cognis
good.
las cannons.
Cognis las cannons. Very good into them. In addition to that, I found that Redemptor Dreads actually struggle quite a bit against hordes. Like if you just tap a Redemptor Dread, it actually takes a long time to get out of like a 20-man or a 30-man unit. I've had a unit of horrors with a couple of summoning points come and tap and wrap 2 of my Redemptor Dreads, and I've been there all damn game.
Well, this is why the only functionality that I found was with the list that I was going to bring with Space Wolves, because it actually gave them combat potential with all of the other dreads. That's the only way to chew through that horde. But I mean, even that list that I had built, I didn't expect to go better than 4 and 2 or 5 and 1. It just doesn't have the tools to get to the top table. I don't think.
Exactly right. Are you like me and of the opinion that all dreads should have a sweep attack? They should have a 2-for-1 attack.
That's tough. Because I feel like the dreads that have both a melee and a shooting option should not.
That's fair. That's actually fair. That's a crazy good idea. If that's what you get for having 2 melee weapons, you want to take 2 melee things. Well, then you get the sweep profile. That's a genius point, mate.
A sweep profile, or just the ability to gain like bonus attacks. I think if in any profile, it should function essentially like lightning claws, where if you have they should each give a close combat attack. I think
that's fair. Well, that's what the Telemon does. That's what the Telemon has, doesn't it? Yeah.
But most of them require a pair just to get 1 bonus attack, which I don't think is enough.
So we are back at table 1 with Bricky making his defiant last stand. Looks like he's got his unit of 20 sisters has walked on from the back edge, and maybe looks like they've done some wounds to the most top right unit of top right Dakajet, and picked up a flyer for us. And then I think it'll be that's all she wrote. That'll be the last unit Bricky plays, and yeah. We're going to chop over to table 3, get you guys to load down on the Chaos Love Fest.
Okay, well, it looks like Be'lakor is still alive and strong in the center of the field.
God, it's a good model. Like, holy moly, what a cool model.
So it looks like on table 1, the plane that had been targeted was the WAS bomb, which I don't know if that's really going to do enough. I mean, 3 Dakajets still being there is still too much. But on this table, it looks like the other Bloodletter bomb, to my love, got chewed up by more bloat drones, because of course they should. Those are flash mowers. I love them.
Someone pointing out that flyers having to start in reserve could be a good carryover. Actually quite like that idea. So you can't alpha strike with them.
Yes, that was another solution that actually I've seen a lot around the grapevine, is that they just can't be on the table turn 1. Yeah.
Here's the issue though. That means you always get to use them. So all it does, it just becomes a beta strike list.
Also,
it becomes an even safer beta strike list, because I don't get to pick up 2 or 3 planes if I go first against freebooters.
I think the other problem with this as well is that they with 9th edition, they changed it so that when flyers come back in from a reserve, they essentially deep strike instead of coming in from an edge, which essentially means that even though they're coming in turn 2, they come in wherever they want,
facing whichever direction they like.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a bit of a problem.
it's a bit of a band-aid on the problem, but honestly, I think the limitation of flyers in general is just the overall solution that the game needs.
Yeah, well, jack up all the points. There's no reason a bomber. So people say, "Oh, the bomber's not good. It doesn't do that much." And you're like, "Well, it has one of the bombs that it drops is one of the best shooting units in the game. Is one of the best shooting attacks in the game.
Yes.
It's
Also,
it's just straight up crazy good.
it still moves. It move blocks. You can still move over the base, but if you don't have enough mobility, you can't.
It's got 2 incredible stratagems. One of them being like the tremor shells for the half move, and can also, if you tech it up, can turn off auras. Phenomenal tech piece. In addition to having what is it 12 or 16 strength 5 shots, just because, you know.
Well, I believe there's if you're talking about the AdMech planes, they're only strength 4. Their Cognis numbers are still only strength 4, but they still have volume.
Sorry, they got the extra shot. Apologies.
Yes, they still have volume, but now I can't remember. I think I saw this, but do AdMech still have the capability to auto explode a vehicle? Because
they do.
All right.
They do, I believe.
So that's also a problem because they can just fly in your face and then be like, "Oh, destroy it, please."
Well, so I don't know if I can't remember for sure if they've got it, but I consider them a faction that has everything, so I assume they do have it.
You said they're Eldari now, except better because their planes fly better than Eldari planes. I don't know why. Can you explain that to me?
Yeah, I can't understand either. it's obnoxious as all get out.
Okay, so this army though, I'm actually worried. I'm actually worried on this game on table 3 because both the Bloodletter bombs being gone, those were some of his best units to wrap the things like PBCs and the Mephitic Blight Haulers, and they're now gone.
They're now gone. Exactly right.
What is his plan to keep the shooting
at
bay?
He's been reduced to having a similar amount of board presence to this small footprint Death Guard army, which is not where you want to be. You always want to stay in a superior board state to something as durable as this. Had actually a question in chat, apologies. Stride Almighty, is this being streamed somewhere other than Twitch as well? Absolutely right. This is being streamed on Facebook, in 2 locations on Facebook, on the Frontline Gaming page and on the Competitive 40K page. And also it's being streamed on the Frontline Gaming Facebook page, YouTube channel. So jump over there, engage wherever you please, give us a like, give us a subscribe. If you are able to subscribe, sign up with us on Twitch. Please show Frontline Game this is something you guys want them to invest in and you want them to support, so we can get bigger and better at doing this for you guys and bring you guys hopefully the best coverage in the world.
Now I can confirm that, I can confirm that when we see back in the bottom right that these are cultists down here. So that is not the horrors.
Do you know what I thought they could be? You've been around for a long time, yeah?
Yeah.
Is it just me, or there was the Juan Diaz demon sculpts? They're all pewter models, but they were gorgeous. They were absolutely beautiful. The old horrors that they produced were absolutely phenomenal. That's what I thought those models were. I thought they were little blue and pink horrors.
I thought you were just coming up with a roundabout way of calling me old, but I mean, like, that's fine too.
You are 1 year older than me, you old warhorse.
How dare you?
What is so? Did you see what just happened there? What just happened? Big deal.
There's something. Something
was there and is not there anymore.
Something there. I can't tell what it is. It had wings.
It's
and
a
it's
big,
no longer
beautiful
there.
boy. Big, beautiful Bellicor. The triple V himself just got picked up in combat by Mephitic Blight Haulers. I didn't think they had it in him, unless he got picked up by the explosion. And the whole point there was that he had 1 or 2 ruins left. Mephitic Blight Haulers go in, one of them dies, auto explode, take the boy out. That's a cute way of solving that problem.
It is, and Bellicor, even though he ignores impulse, I mean, Mephitic Blight Haulers for some reason still have 9 wounds, and it's still actually it's very difficult to get through them.
So how many points are they? They're like 110, yeah.
They're just over the 100 point gap. So like,
well, I think they're exactly where the Ork buggy should be, right? They're the Ork buggy for them, and they have a little bit. They only have the 2 or 3 guns, but they have the far better defense than the Ork buggy. So there could be a bit of a.
I disagree on one point. I think that squig buggies. There's no reason that squig buggies should be under
90 points.
I think they should be 120 points. Honestly.
Oh.
I think
you're a savage. You're an absolute savage. I love it.
I think they used to be, because I played actually squig buggies in 8th edition before they got 9th edition book. I was playing buggies in general, but I believe that's closer to what their points used to be, and they only got better, became more relevant, but then dropped sub 100 points, which I think was a mistake. Now, I think that I don't know how you solve the my favorite buggy, which is the Shock Jump Dragsta. I don't know how you solve that problem. They got rid of its best tool, which was its auto teleport custom job. But Scrapjets is a hard one because they also one of their guns became DACA, their other gun became heavy, which means they no longer have the option to advance.
Yeah.
And they're only 24-inch range, and they have a huge footprint. So do you
The
make them more
scrapjets
than they
are
all?
well, the scrapjets, yeah, exactly right. The footprint on the scrapjets and the amount of board they have to take up because they have to move up the table actually becomes a real big hindrance on some of these denser boards. Like you look at this table right now, there's only like 2 places where the scrapjets can even
Like
move at their
there,
opponent. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and
That's
then
it. That's it. They're
and then
screwed.
like
They're screwed
you have
anywhere
kind of a
else.
roadblock here, like
Yeah. Oh, one guy stands in that gap to the left of the center thing, and you just can't move your scrapjets.
just right
Congrats, you're
here,
stuck.
just like he's
Yeah,
just there, and
one
that's
dude.
all
Yeah,
gone.
it's all
Yeah,
gone.
because I mean, I had enough of a problem previously when they split apart and weren't a single unit, but now as a single unit, it's a nightmare to move them on the table. So, yeah, I mean, it's hard to say where their points should go, but I think that Squid
Well,
Buggy should absolutely go up.
Yeah, well, I think the Blight Hall is a good example because the Blight Hall is a strong unit that's not taken prevalently because it just fits a very niche role in the kind of the lexicon of Death Guard. But it's a good, solid, well-pointed unit in my opinion.
Now, fetid bloat drones they should all take because it has a flesh mower, and that's all you
it's
need
got
to know.
Flesh mower. It's baller. Love it. How you see it? Give us a breakdown of the score as you see it right now.
So we're looking around where we expected, which was Hayden is scoring very well on secondaries and also well on primaries. I mean, we were expecting him to essentially just ignore the killing power of the enemy army and just sort of swamp the board
Exactly
and take
right.
primary and secondary. So, do I think he's going to make an impact on any of the Death Guards to the last? Probably not.
Yeah, that's 50 with Be'lakor gone. That's 15 points almost in the bag now. Well, Be'lakor and the Bloodletter bombs. As it sits right now, though, as long as if essentially, I think if Hayden can give him another 5 or donut primary, which is what he did last time. That's why he was bombing all those bloodletters in, by the way. It's just to get on his home objective, destroy his primary score, which he has 15-0, guys. And in addition to that, 0 for Stranglehold as well, because of course, you can't hold objectives, can't get Stranglehold. If he maintains this for another turn, just one more turn, he might squeak this one out by a good little 15-20 point margin.
Yeah, well, now what's interesting as well is that you can see in the top left here, you have a single rhino, and I'm not sure that there is this a model in to the left, or is this a model here, or is
that's
it just
that's
dice? So it's just that he doesn't even have that objective with just the single PBC denied by one rhino, which a PBC doesn't want to have to shoot a rhino.
Dude,
so,
the last two horrors just walked onto the middle right objective, e.g. that's OBSEC. The beasts are holding down the middle left, and then the top right, I really want to know if there's any bloodletters under that overhang. As it sits right now, the only one I could say with any confidence he might have is the top right. He might only be getting a 5 next turn. Well, big deal, like I said, big deal.
Are those two things there? Are those bloodletters? They might be.
Yeah, it very well might be. And if they are, that's another donut turn going into Scott's turn 2. Although the Mephitic Blighthole, assuming we'll kill those last two if they are.
No, those are just the engines on the fetid blow.
Fair call.
Of course.
That rhino was just tapped into the PBC in the top left as well, just trying to shut down, control some fire. So yeah, I think Hayden's looking okay, but he just needs to manage his stuff still for another turn or two if he maintains.
Okay, we're going to come back to table 1 real quick because the game has finished.
We'll give you guys a final read, a final score. What do you? Oh, Jesus!
That's
Christ.
a full 100 for freebooters.
That's a ton.
So the only way he got max points on grind them down was because he tabled his opponent, which gives him max points.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay.
Wait, does it? Is that how that works?
I believe so in ITC that if you table your opponent, then you max out all of your points.
He was going to get 3 to 6, so we had to actually table him to get the rest of the points. At best, that's pretty funny.
Only the low score for Adeptus Sororitas. Unfortunately, this is exactly what we expected. I think that of the leftover sisters, the only one that has a real chance against freebooters is Brandon Grant.
Agreed. And we'll see how many sisters. So 4 sisters players made it into this top winners bracket. 22 undefeated players going into this round. 4 of them were sisters. 3 of them were AdMech. I think we had only 2 Drukhari, which was really interesting as well. Sean Naden looks to be fighting for his position right now. We did the math in the break overnight though. We realized there could be at least 4 players who've taken a loss, making it into that final day as well. So that's going to be quite interesting.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that's interesting about that is because some of the players that we had looked previously as being a contender, including the former champion Brian Pullen, took a
Mm,
loss on day one. But now, if there is the possibility, if he scores high on day two, he could still make top 8 and defend his title. So that's
yeah,
still a possibility on the table. As far as the Drukhari game with Sean Naden's looking, it looks like he's scoring heavily over
that's
the
exactly
AdMech
right.
player.
So
So
Sean's probably going to get very close to tabled, and I expect him to win the game despite that,
now,
just because I expect him
interesting.
to have all the points.
I could see, other than the units that we see on the AdMech player being down in the bottom left, it's possible that he has enough killing power and Alpha Strike power that Sean Naden could have killed everything but the Flyers and that little blob down there of the
Hmm.
AdMech army, which then at that point, the AdMech, all he has left is Flyers. He has no ability to score any offensive
Exactly
objectives.
right. Well, that would have been my modus operandi here for Sean, is to like, well, he's just going to kill all my stuff, and I can't stop him killing all my stuff, so I just got to stop him scoring. Do everything I can to take away his scoring ability. And so, yeah, this looks like exactly what he's doing. He's gone down into this bottom right-hand corner and pivoted his entire army in order to trap a 20-man, I believe, a 20-man block, or at least end on the other side of an obscuring ruin to the rest of his firepower. I
Well,
really want
and
to know
as
if
you,
it's the
oh, sorry,
I
go
really
ahead.
want to know if it's the Rangers or the Vanguard in the bottom left. Because if it's the Vanguard in the bottom left, they're not going to have range to shoot very much next turn.
Well, yeah, I would say that his best case scenario would him being able to trap and possibly even kill the Ranger block, because if he does that,
Mm,
then the Rangers can't even engage at long range to possibly kill any of the
exactly right.
Venoms here that are capturing back objectives. So,
Yeah,
because
spot on.
the Flyers, I don't think singly have the capability, well, especially the two bombers, but I don't think even the Stratoraptors have the capability to kill Venoms in a single shooting phase.
I mean,
So,
a Stratoraptor absolutely can, but you're right. You're flying in the face of the -1 to hit, the 5+ involved.
exactly.
Everything can just it's a couple of really nice breakpoints there
there's
on the
there's
Venom
so many,
profile.
as they say, points of failure in that engagement
Yeah,
that
yeah.
it's still tough enough to say that they could kill them in one go, because even the leftover guns that they have are only strength 4. They're winning on 5s even against the Venom, which is not great.
Mm. So the
Um,
Stratoraptor comes with 2 Cognos Heavy Stubbers, 2 Heavy Phosphor Blasters, and the Twin Cosmos Las Cannon. So,
yes,
of course, Assault 2 on the Las Cannon for some reason, even though because of course
AdMech.
you want
How
to
dare you?
advance
It's
some.
AdMech.
Well, of course, you want to advance something that already moves 50 inches. That just makes all the sense in the world. The Heavy Phosphor Blasters are actually quite good. 2 of those 6 shots at Strength 6 -2, 1 damage. And so that's good into the Venom profile. That being the toughness
Uh,
5.
yeah, I would say that they're probably relying on the most of an optimal damage roll from the last cannons
Mm.
getting through, and maybe plinking away with the phosphor blasters. But
Exactly right. Don the Magnificent, that being my wonderful friend Don Hooson, has joined us in the chat from sunny and sweltering Arizona. And yeah, Don, there's a list. There's a Death Guard list here that's right up your alley. Triple Flesh Mower, 5 Methitic Blight Halls, triple PBC, taking the super wretched Psyker for a bunch of extra mortal wounds. When I called that, I said, this is Don's boy. This is Don's list.
Don, I'm still available to team up with my crazy Spacewalk list if you want to do your crazy Death Guard list. Wink, wink.
Exactly right. Um, Jot's Supplice? Jot's son, please. Anyone know how Thousand Suns have been doing this tournament? I don't know what has happened until today. I can tell you right now, there are unfortunately no
Not
Thousand
well.
Suns players in the winners bracket.
Did you have the statistics of how many that had actually entered the tournament?
How many in attendance? Yeah, I'm actually just about to pull that up right now, guys, because I did all the stats here for the Thursday show, which is our Frontline Gaming's pre-weekend hype show. We hype up all the events coming in the preceding weekend, and one of the ones we did, of course, we unpacked all the stats and all the players in attendance for SoCal. Now, as it sits for T-Suns players, there was 8 T-Suns players in attendance, so a pretty good representation for them. But yeah, unfortunately, none of them made it undefeated into day 2. Which is surprising, actually, because I would have thought T-Suns would be the best or the second best way to play Chaos at the moment, and yet we have 3 Chaos players undefeated going into day 2, none of them with T-Suns.
Okay, so here's what I will say about that, and this is you're welcome to disagree, but this is part of the reason why I love what they did with the T Suns book and the Grey Knights book, is they both dialed them to 11 with regards to the learning curve. I think they
That's
are
true.
now
That's true.
immensely hard armies to learn quickly,
Hmm.
and there's so many points of failure with regards to your procedure and your turn, especially the psychic phase, that I think that may a lot of the competitive players may have looked at that and seen they're not going to get enough reps in by the time that book released
That's
to
true.
actually be competitive at this tournament.
And unlike with Grey Knights, first and foremost, everyone had the Grey Knight models they needed to play the best Grey Knight build. But in addition to that, it was quite easy to see where the best 2 units are. I mean, the best 2 units easily is Interceptors and Dread Knights. And then there's a bit of a gap, and then all the other units are very good, but those 2 just stand out as great ways of winning and scoring points in 9th edition. They just do good stuff. They're just always going to do good stuff. Whereas the rest of those units, you need to have a purpose. They need to be fit for purpose. And I like to use this term a lot in 9th edition because you can't just put stuff in your list anymore for the sake of it. Everything has to fit a purpose and be fit for that job. Which is why I find stuff like what Don Hooson does, and he plays wonky lists like what our man Scott Toby is playing right now, where he's just got an all-mech Death Guard army. Pretty cute. As we can see right now, I think the last of the board presence is going to be picked up. I think that was a very, very quick turn for Hayden and his Chaos list, just opposite Bellicor. I think we're going to be into not quite a mop-up action this turn, because I think it's going to take, it's probably going to take the rest of the game to kill his 9 beasts of Nurgle, right?
I don't think he's even going to be able to kill them, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't. There's too much. 9 Beasts of Nurgle are just a slog to get through, and I mean, we can see here this PBC is basically permanently trapped.
Exactly right.
So I don't know if he has the firepower to actually get through them. Now, my question is, did Hayden score enough early to essentially just ride out the storm of the rest of the game and eke out a victory over the Death Guard? It's looking like it's possible, but I'm wondering if he has enough scoring units left to essentially hold the table enough to deny the Death Guard.
Well, like I said, if he just ruins his turn 3 score, I think it would be enough. And which he did. He got 2 15s. He got a 15 turn 2, 15 turn 3. He held his opponent to a 0 turn 2, and now only a 5 turn 3. That's a huge deal. Huge deal. Very well done to Hayden. Is it going to be enough, though? We will see. We've still got 15 to the last to be added onto that primary score. So it's currently
we see it there. It is there.
Oh, apologies. So yeah, it's currently we're sitting 24 to Scott with the Death Guard to 38, 47, 51, 61 to Hayden. So there's a huge 30-point gap between these two gentlemen, and that just goes to show Hayden came in knowing exactly what he had to do. Just disrupt that primary score, and by doing so, you'll disrupt at least one of his secondaries, that being Stranglehold. And
well, interestingly enough, I'm wondering if Scott made a mistake picking. Can we go back to secondaries real quick? I'm wondering if Scott made a mistake picking Stranglehold.
I think he did. I think he absolutely did. Even picking Assassinate, I thought was a big. I thought Assassinate was a bit of a win more in this one, just because you've got the 9 beasts of Nurgle. He can just decide to be you're just not getting these 3. You can have Bellicor. You're not getting these other 3 characters. No chance.
I'm wondering if Assassination was just the best choice of what he had available.
Yeah,
no
that's
other
true.
good options.
Exactly right.
I think Stranglehold may have been a mistake. Now he did go second. He could still score a lot.
I would have taken is it no prisoners? I would have taken no prisoners here. He's got 3. He's got essentially 7 points wrapped up in just horrors and bloodletters.
That's true.
A 30-man, 20-man, 20-man. So it's 70 points. There's 7 points there just in that. And then, of course, the Beast of Nurgle giving up 5 points apiece. So every 2 Beasts of Nurgle is 1 point in addition. So I would have thought that would have been the way to go.
I think you're correct. I think that was probably the better choice. Stranglehold will have to wait and see, only because it's turn 3 and he still hasn't scored it yet. And he could still, because he went second. Oh, we just heard from our behind the scenes that he swapped out no prisoners the last minute for Assassination, which was probably a make. That was.
We will see. We will see. Maybe he knows more than us. Maybe he's got a big brain plan we're not seeing yet.
But I do feel Stranglehold was likely a mistake. Now, he could still score hot on primary only because he went second and he has the ability to get a 15 final turn. But it might be a little too late.
Our boy in the chat, Jotsun Please, has said the learning curve is steep indeed, and I made the brilliant decision of making T-Suns my first ever army. Guys in chat, anybody at T-Sun Specials, anybody have any tips for our boy Jotsun, please chuck him up. My only tip would be go over to 40kstats.com. click on the link that give you the top 4 scorings or placings for different factions. Roll yourself down and see what lists for T-Suns have been performing quite well, and then start trying to look into why those lists have done well. What are the tech pieces, and what are the conglomeration of units that have given them success? And I'd start there. Do a bit of research on what's been winning for other people.
Now, one beautiful fact about that army is that they've designed the codex in such a way that essentially everything is useful now. So
I agree. Yeah, almost.
Almost everything. But if you have a particular love within the army, even things that were formerly not very good, like Rubric Marines, are actually quite excellent.
I will tell you, yeah, exactly right. Rubric Marines are actually utterly amazing.
Both them and Scarab Occults, I think you must
Yeah.
have one unit of each.
Well, that was the big mistake in the last book. The last book was like, okay, Zangors are okay to good, and all the characters are incredible. And now the characters are incredible. The Zangors are meh. They're decent. They're just a bit of expensive cultist. Exactly. But all the power armor is such potency in the rubrics and the Scarab Occult. And that's the reason people take the faction, because they love the aesthetic. They love the feel of it. And so when you have literally the two models that you want to play the most being terrible, it feels bad. So I'm really happy they did that way.
So we're getting some updated scores for Table 2 right now. If they're still on turn 2, they must be running down the clock real hard. But it looks like everything is going to plan according to Nate, and at least for now, he still has both of these Venoms alive on back objectives, which is a big deal. If he gets even one extra turn of efficiency, that's awesome.
So I'll praise Sean quite heavily for some of his plays. To my mind, that green Venom is untargetable. He can't shoot it because of the way the flies have to move. That the closest flyer can't fly to the right and stay on the table. So it has to fly to the left, e.g., flying directly away from where it wants to be.
Now, maybe
it can still draw a bead from that position.
I think this one still has the capability to maybe go that way.
If it's got 20 inches straight up and then 20 inches across again. Yeah, absolutely. That's correct. That's fair.
But it's still limited enough. It's bad. It's bad efficiency though. Like that's what we were just talking about. Is you need the most efficiency to take care of these Venoms, or it's a problem.
And if there's even one model inside there, then that's just a fool's errand.
We've just found out that they are still at the bottom of turn 2, and it's the AdMech. So after this, they're not going to have a whole lot of clock left.
Well, to my mind, they've still got They've got 25 minutes left in the round. Is that correct? Give or take?
We have technically 50 minutes left in the round.
Then never mind. There's plenty of time.
So around 25 or so minutes each, but assuming that they have about an equal clock, but. Everything happened in the turn 1 and turn 2 for the armies. I mean, it was so much turn 1, turn 2 play.
Rogue Sun, Sacred Rose for Bricky Brandon. It has Murdered Lady. There is a Valorous Heart, Bloody Rose 1, and I don't remember that gentleman. Is there another Sisters player so there's 4 Sisters players made it into the winners bracket for today, and we know Bricky was on Sacred Rose, Brandon was on the other, and so I don't know what the other 2 lists are. Have you got any ideas? Fair. I'd love to get an update on the clocks for Table 2 if we can get that from our table.
So we did.
Whatever.
Drukhari has 32 minutes left. AdMech has 22 minutes left. So
they still got the right amount of time on the clock. But seeing as AdMech has the sector bottom of turn and they've got the less amount of point, that probably bodes well for Naden. Yeah, do you know what's in the other sisters list by any chance, Andrew?
The other sisters lists that have within the tournament.
Because
we have Brandon Grant's list. That's amazing.
We were sure about Brandon and sure about Brookies, but they said there was 2 that are possibly running the traditional conglomeration of Valorous Heart and Sacred Rose. I just couldn't remember the gentlemen's names.
Okay, so I'm looking it up right now. So we have Mike Grunberg, who unfortunately it looks like he has lost round 4.
Damn.
So he was running.
That's 2 of the 4 already knocked out this round for the sisters.
He was running. Okay, so he was running the combo of Bloody Rose and Argent Shroud, which is a popular combo right now.
Absolutely, yeah. Depending on your Argent Shroud ruling by your TO, it's phenomenal.
And then the other sisters player was running. I can't seem to find it.
No problems. As it sits right now, the breakdown for this game, Short Nate already has 15 chucked in for his to the last. I'm emboldened to say that he still has all those points. I
Okay.
think it bodes very well for him. So he's sitting at 15 for primary, 15 for to the last, 4 for Herd the Prey, and 4 for Raise the Banners. I do like the Herd the Prey option because his opponent has 4 flyers and none of them count for Herd the Prey. So in all intents and purposes, he's going to be getting like 4 points a turn from Herd the Prey, and there's not much his opponent can do about it. If he wants to account for all the crazy crap Sean Nate has dumped into his deployment zone. What are you going to say, mate?
So I apologize. I'm getting the exact scores again for Table 2, but it's looking like Drukhari is somewhere around 40+ points, and the AdMech is only around 18. So
Yeah, exactly
there is
right.
a dramatic difference there.
Yeah, so Sean's front-loading all his damage, front-loading all his scoring power, knowing he's not going to have much board presence come the rest of the game. See what they're measuring right now? Exactly what I thought they were going to be measuring. There's no way for that flyer to fly to the right and stay on the table. So he's trying to figure out how the hell he kills this green venom.
So the exact score right now, it looks like Drukhari is at 48 on their score, and AdMech is only at 16. So there is a huge gap there.
And 10 of those points for the AdMech player are paint points. So he's on 6 points, disregarding the battle ready.
So
that's
he
what Sean needs to do.
So he needs to severely take advantage of the back half, or he's going to just be too far behind. And he may table Sean, but Sean may just be too ahead at that point that he can't actually score enough points.
Exactly right. See what I said? That fly has to fly to the left. There was no position for it to land to the right. And so now he's trying to figure it out. He's doing... See, that's just dumb. That's
hold on.
Dumb as hell.
You forgot. You forgot. AdMechs.
The double
their
turn.
planes can hover.
It's so hard to account for. Oh yeah, some of them can hover as well. That's absolutely right.
Because remember they're Imperial planes, so they can hover.
Yes, Stratoraptors can hover. Can they just go away?
I was like,
fire away, kill them all. Get them off the table.
I thought about it immediately after we were talking about their placement. I was like, wait, aren't they Imperial? Can't they just hover? But it does mean they can be charged. But I mean, I don't think Sean Nadine's going to even want to charge them, to be honest. So.
Iqbad, I've been playing T-Suns every week since the new codex launched, and the best I've gotten so far is this. You really need to prep your psychic phase like you budget out your CP. Your strategy really relies on insane sequencing whilst orchestrating otherwise specialized units that require a decent amount of forethought in how you approach the table. Very well said. Very well said. And I think you're absolutely right. I think more than any other faction, T-Suns benefit from foresight, foreplanning. Get a run sheet. Get a run sheet of your order of operations and follow it like pretty damn close. Like
I would lean into it even harder. I think a very good choice is to get flashcards, or if you're familiar with Magic, you get sleeves and you make your own custom cards. So you essentially can just you can have your deck and you cycle through and you know exactly what you need to be doing every turn. And I mean, you just need management because it's like a resource management game playing an army like that.
Yeah, just seeing how these planes get to move is obnoxious.
Does it offend your well-being? Because it probably does most people.
It bothers me. I mean, he's not doing anything wrong. Matthew Guy is playing his faction to the best of his ability. He's playing the best list in his faction right now. It's just, God, it's so strong.
Now,
I don't think there's anything he can do to account for the bottom right units, can he? He can't really get any lines of sight. He can't really get a melee unit over there to account for him. So I think the best thing to do is to run away, get the hell out of Dodge.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but when flyers hover, they lose airborne, they lose hard to hit, but they still have the flyer keyword, so they still can't score primary. Or if they hover, can they score? They can't score primary.
No, it's the airborne. Regardless. It's the airborne stops them causing that. And it's the keyword that they don't lose.
Okay, cool.
So that's my knowledge of it so far.
Because that would offend my sensibilities.
Yeah, absolutely right.
But yeah,
I don't see there's anything he can do to really account for the stuff in the bottom right-hand corner. So what I think he wants to do is bail, hold everything on the left-hand side of the table. Let Sean have the right-hand side. Kill as much as you can over the next 2 turns, and then go for 2 15s at the top of turn 4 and the bottom of turn 5.
We need our boys behind the scenes to tell us, is there anything within the Venoms that are holding the objectives currently by themselves? Because if they're empty, as soon as they're gone, that's a bit of a problem for Naden. But if they actually have units inside, that's beautiful. I
Well, yeah,
mean,
exactly. As soon as they pop, how does he get more units back there? Especially the top right-hand one. Look, there's a unit of 2 guys just in the front of that ruin, if you can see below the green venom. Maybe you can circle it for the people at home. Looks like there's a
that's
unit
right
of
here.
2 models there. Yeah. And if there's anything inside these venoms, then I think this bodes well for Naden getting another at least turn or 2 of good primary. Well, he's set up for a 15 right now, isn't he? Because there's nothing in the center left objective, is there?
This year, no, I don't believe that there is
Yeah.
anything at this objective. No.
And he's got what looks to be possibly mandrakes in the top left-hand objective. So right now,
Yes.
Naden's looking pretty clean for another 15, which could be enough to break this game and just win it.
Well, this is what we were talking about. Is essentially he has this. The AdMech has this big brick right down here, but essentially nothing that could get onto either of these objectives quickly.
Yes, exactly right. And so I mean, Naden's playing the game that he needs to play. Exactly right. He's containing all the melee threats and accounting for them, and then just creating zones of influence where, like, you can't come here or I charge and kill you. You have to back up, and it's just creating a lot of pressure. The fact that he's got, like, what I can only assume is like 7 or 8 units into his opponent's deployment zone, top of turn 2, is a fearsome prospect. It's a fearsome prospect.
Absolutely. So I've just found out from our beautiful guys behind the scenes that the middle venom that I've just identified has Lilith and a unit of Trueborn still inside of it. So essentially,
Wow, so
that's close
yeah.
to unassailable for the AdMech player.
That locks in his 15 already. That locks in his 15. His
Yes.
opponent is holding one objective. So he's holding the bottom right 100%, and the bottom left are both going to be held by the respective players. The middle right cannot. There's not enough sequencing of attacks in order to take that away. You'd need 4 sequences of attacks to account for all those players.
Now, granted, these two venoms are.
Venom.
Yeah, these two venoms are actually empty, though. So there is nothing inside that top right venom. So essentially, once this venom goes, unless this unit here can hold, that's basically it for that objective.
Exactly right. But it's a confidence to know you have 3. Essentially, right now he has 4 units in the middle objective. Any one of those can dive up to the top right next turn.
Yeah, well, assuming that the venom in the center here doesn't die, which would be amazing, then yes, he could just dump out even Lilith to just go up and take
exactly
that.
right. It'd be a huge mistake not to kill that venom this turn. But at the same time, there's a lot of pressing issues. Like, there's a lot of stuff in your deployment zone that cannot stand. This cannot be allowed to continue.
Yeah, well, depending on how many witches he actually has alive down in the bottom right from his Cult of Strife unit, if they were able to just beeline straight into anything over here, or at the very least, if he somehow was able to remove that last Ruststalker unit, that essentially he would have free reign on the backfield of the AdMech player.
Well, so you say that, though, but these are veteran cohort Skitarii models. So any one of them can punch their way out of combat versus Drukhari models. Maybe not Incubi. Maybe they can't punch their way out of Incubi into the 3-up saves. But they can punch witches down pretty well. 3 attacks apiece. They do a good job.
Well, okay. So the one thing that we need to find out from our boys behind the scene, though, is was the Vanguard block actually destroyed? Is it only Rangers remaining? Because I believe...
Or vice versa.
The Rangers, I feel, still struggle to fight themselves out of combat because they only hit on 4s and you can inflict a -1 on them. Whereas the Vanguard essentially making them toughness 2, winning on 3s is a big deal against them.
The other thing, though, is that if it's the Vanguard brick, you can run away from them. You just let them stay there. They're not going to shoot you in any meaningful way from that position. So Demeki, can we get a check on the table? What's the block of 20 Skitarii models for the AdMech player? Is that Rangers or Vanguard? I'm hoping it's Vanguard, because as it sits right now, they're not going to really participate in the game. Their range is too short. Naden can really throttle and straddle their ability to participate and just run away. If they're Rangers, they can reach pretty much everything.
Now, granted, if he does still have his Manipulus alive, they are assault weapons. Technically, he still can gain 6 inches of range and advance and shoot them. So there is some play.
But this is the issue, yeah? As soon as you get within 18 inches with that unit, it gets tapped, wrapped, and dead. That's the thing, yeah? Well, at least that's the thinking. If you got Vanguard in this position and they're close enough to shoot, they're close enough to be charged. Especially seeing as Naden has big bricks of like 4 or 5 units just roaming together.
So I think that Naden did the correct choice. So the unit down here that he swamped and destroyed was actually the Vanguard. These are Rangers here, which means they can engage at long range, but they have no fighting capability. So as soon as they come in range of any of the witch units, they're then there forever.
Well, Nathan's hands were somewhat tied in what he couldn't do. You see that big ruin in the center kind of upper right hand side. That he pivoted his whole army behind there, so his whole army was deployed directly above and to the right of that in his deployment zone. If you can just circle where that Stratoraptor is, it essentially was under his whole army was under that Stratoraptor, and so he had to come down to the right hand side because he also had the other big ruin in order to pivot behind, which is the position he's in right now. Going down to the left, it's just got too much open firing lanes, just way too many firing lanes, which is why his opponent probably put the rangers there, so they had the lines of fire. But as it sits right now, it's really worked in Sean's favor that he's been able to dive down with essentially only one gap for a firing lane to be exposed upon. Now, it makes it interesting to me that he's got that venom where it is. It could easily be 4 inches higher than it is and be untargetable by the rangers.
So we got a clarification. There was actually this came up yesterday in the game with regards to the Knights list. A single model. This is we're having a bit of a contention on table 3. A single model can only hold one objective, but a unit can hold multiple.
Correct.
So.
Correct. So I'm assuming what he's talking about, the Beasts of Nurgle have charged up into the PBC in the top left-hand corner and have
very
wrapped
likely, yes.
That's my assumption.
Yes,
yes,
that's
exactly
what's
happened. Yep.
Yes.
And so they're straddling 2 objectives, and they can control both. I will say there's more. I can only see 4 Beasts of Nurgle, 3 Beasts of Nurgle now, unless there's a bunch under the overhang.
There's one here, but I'm assuming he has to maintain coherency under this objective.
There has to be one under there for sure. Yeah. Otherwise, he pulled the wrong model when he just peeled that dude. But that's still more dead than I thought there was going to be. Like, way more.
Well, I mean, we're talking about the entire. I don't think he has the capability to. I mean, we're on turn 4 at this point. I never thought they'd the capability with his entire army to delete the entire unit.
Yeah.
But kill some of them. I mean, we're only talking about 4 of 9 models at maximum, and
well, and you're right. Everything he's shooting at him is multi-damage. He's got multi-melters, missile launchers, entropy cannons. Like, everything is like, most of it that is D3+3 or D6. So it can't just spike. You can't just spike it all.
Yeah, so there are. We've just gotten confirmation from our boys Demeki behind the lines. There are only 4 beasts dead, so that was about what we predicted in single turns of the entire army shooting at that unit. But is that enough? I mean, we saw that's actually not enough to get rid of the entire unit unless they die to morale.
Well,
in a final turn.
It looks like that's all he's got left is the 1 Beast of Nurgle, because we can see a flesh mold made it into the cultist in the bottom right. There may be one left there that we can't see in the overhang, but yeah, that'll be. If that's the case, I think that's all she wrote for this Chaos
Army. There might be a character hiding here. I can't tell. But...
Yeah, and I can see a unit of Furies up in the top right-hand corner. Can you see those three Furies on the top of the ruin?
Yes. So there are some Furies there.
One of the cutest, most amazing things about the Blight Drone, is that it has a 6-inch rogue intervention strat. It's so good at defending objectives. It's terrifying.
Added Blight Drones. They're the future. Everybody should
everyone should get them. They're amazing.
have I tooted that horn enough? Should I keep saying it? Listen, if you're going to put Death Guard in front of me, I'm going to talk about Fetid Blight Drones.
Yeah, are they any good into Orks though? Like, because they can't kill a buggy. Because are they strength 8? I thought they're strength 7. Yeah.
They're strength. Yes, they will kill them via volume, but they're actually an amazing unit to shut down scrapjets because they just with reckless abandon go into scrapjets. So
exactly right. And yeah, you want to make a squig buggy cry, make it shoot into a toughness 7 -1 to wound, 5+ invulnerable save chassis. Just like so -1 damage. Apologies. Absolutely indomitable. So yeah, this is another one. This is another one of these skew lists that's just trying to not lose turn 1. That's actually doing really well. We saw the same thing. Like the Deathwing is essentially the same premise, isn't it?
It is indeed. Now, I do think we were right on the money by saying that essentially the disciples of Be'lakor may have scored enough early that Q will just survive long enough to take the game. I think the game will be close in points.
Yes. Well, I actually think Scott needs to table him. Scott actually needs to table him.
Will he still score enough? My problem is I'm afraid he doesn't have enough mobility to get enough on Stranglehold or Primary just by scoring more, because he only has essentially 1 more turn, even going second. So
that's fair.
He may only score 30 total on Primary, which puts him 10 points behind, which is a big deal.
Yep. Exactly right. 12 points for Stranglehold for Hayden is a great testament to just the way he's gone about playing this game. Actually, excellent. Only 8 on Retrieve. I bet he's probably kicking himself, hoping he got that other 4, because that might be the difference, I feel.
Yeah, so we're seeing right now on the total scores, Hayden with his Disciples of Be'lakor has 74 points versus 50 on the death card. That's a
Yeah, wow.
24-point deficit.
Hmm.
That's I don't think he can make that back in a single turn. That's
So what
very
points has he got
hard.
left to score? And that's it's already accounting for to the last as well. So he needs to
So
get. Oh man. So did Scott
15
go first or
primary.
second?
So Scott went second, so he can get 15 primary on the
Yeah.
final turn.
Yep. So and then
Um,
I think he can get 3 more for assassinate if he uses his mortars to kill the character in the bottom left. So
so
that's what
that's 18
15.
points. So
Yeah,
that's
18
18
points.
points, and then
Another
he would need
stranglehold.
another.
Is
So
that's
that's
it? That's
21
it.
points, and that's
He's already
unfortunately
already
still three
behind.
points
Still
shy.
behind. Yeah, it's over. I
Yeah.
think this is Hayden's already. Yeah, good call, mate.
Wow,
This is
going 4-0 with Disciples of Be'lakor. That's awesome.
well
If he
done.
finishes that way, that's amazing.
Exactly right. And it looks like from our prediction that's exactly what's going to occur here. Yeah, so Assassinate's going to glean him 7 points. Tabling his opponent, I think, would have given him 11 on Bring It Down. Oh, sorry, on Take No Prisoners.
It would have given at least 11 because you have
Let me just have a quick
7,
rundown of the list.
8, 9, 10,
So 1,
11.
2, 3, 4,
No,
5,
it's 12.
6,
You would
7.
have gotten 12 points because of
There we go.
the additional
8,
of the Furies and the characters that leads up to just 12 points.
half. Yeah, you're right. 12 points. Wow. And that's of course if he tables.
Which it's looking like it might go that
Hmm.
way. It depends on how many Beasts of Nurgle he can kill, but that still clearly was probably the better choice than Assassination.
It looks like it's going to be a 5-point differential there. I mean, if he gets the last assassination point, it'll be a 2-point difference, which I don't think he's still got 1 point behind at that stage. It probably feels better, but like we said, you can drop a game, and if you got a high-scoring loss, you can drop a game and make it to the top 8.
Now, we've only got about 30 minutes left in the round, and it
Mm-hmm.
looks like most of these tables are wrapping up at this point.
Well,
So,
Sean's is going to go the distance for sure.
well, they're going to run their
two.
clocks out, but I don't think they're getting past turn 3, to be honest.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, I mean, I think I don't think it matters with the scoring difference that Sean has, just how far ahead he is. As long as he maintains his 15 to the last, I think he wins. If his to the last just is gone, I think he's in trouble. But I still think he's pretty comfy. That whole block of units that were in the middle, they're all gone. That Venom with Lilith and the unit inside and the character behind all seem to have been picked up. I didn't think he had enough.
Is this not Lilith right here?
Oh, apologies. Gosh, they're so hard. 25 mil models, so hard to pick. Yeah, that's definitely Lilith.
So the
Good
Trueborn are
call.
gone, the Venom is gone, but Lilith is still alive, which means, again,
Yeah,
it's still
15.
one more turn of him holding that objective, which is a big
And dude,
deal.
like I thought, that green Venom in the top right hand corner was just really hard to account for. Made it through the turn. Whereas
just refuses to die.
I thought that was the one you want to guarantee you kill because that objective in the top right is the hard one for for Naden to refresh upon. Keep refreshing models upon because it's just so far away from the body
Of course,
his force.
and obviously trying to engage the Mandrakes in the back left corner is just like they're -1 to hit with a 5+ invulnerable save. You don't have very good efficiencies. They're essentially engaging them is essentially the same mechanic as engaging a Venom for any of these flyers.
Yeah,
so.
and if they ruled that upper left hand corner piece as obscuring, then there's no chance. There's no chance you kill those guys.
Now I'm
You have to
wondering.
fly a
I'm
bomber all the way
assuming
over.
at least this is obscuring this piece here.
Yeah, the crates, it very well could be. We know they had a judge over to do some rulings on terrain at the start of the game, just so they were both seeing things the same way, which is always the right call. If you ever have any things like that, don't have a dispute about it, don't have a conflict, just get the judge to come over and tell you what it is.
Again, if this was not obscuring, then I don't think even Venoms can hide behind it, which would make sense of why Naden would have throttled his entire army to the top right corner.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, exactly right. As it is right now, it looks like we're into the top of 3, most likely for Naden. It was interesting to see that I thought he had a couple of characters sitting. See the big the bottom right hand ruin just to the left of that. I thought he had a couple of characters there. Looks like he still might have one left. It's on a bigger base though, so I'm not quite sure what that would be. It could be one of his Slither Urgles. That would make sense.
Oh yeah, probably yes. I would say that's probably Court of the Archon.
Because they're the only thing that's on a bigger base. So we're still in the turn 2 for the AdMech, so still probably in the shooting phase, possibly even in the charge phase. But I don't know, wouldn't want to be charging anything.
I mean, but he was already the AdMech was already behind on the clock. I'm wondering if he's going to even have enough of a clock to do a turn 3.
Yeah, I agree, man. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
And
We get
I'm assuming we're both thinking that the entire to the last bomb is just stuck in this bottom right corner, just like refusing to, because
exactly right. Why would you
that whole
move? You're
piece
winning. You're
that
winning.
whole
Why
piece
would you
isn't
move?
that whole piece is probably obscuring, and they're
Yeah.
behind it. Yeah,
Mm.
there's no
And you
reason
got
for
that.
them to ever leave.
You've got that nice mud wall or brick wall, whatever, in your opponent's deployment zone, really breaking up their lane of fire into that box as well.
Well,
So
and
yeah,
limiting
I
limiting
yeah,
mobility severely.
I really like his position. As long as if he probably doesn't need to do anything from here if he doesn't want to. Like he could literally just say, "Oh yeah, tap score my 15. You know score my 4 for herd and tap the thing. Off you go." Because then he's investing in making sure he keeps this to the last. And if he just holds one more turn, just maxes. It's just going to max primary in his turn 4. Like no stress, no fuss.
Yeah, well, and I'm worried as well because the AdMech player is essentially taking so much time with his turns. If he runs down his clock, he'll just simply lose in the secondaries because he won't be
Hmm.
able to score anything more. I mean, like, I understand why you would have the trepidation. I mean, you're playing a game against Sean Naden; he's one of the best players there is. So, but I'm worried. I'm worried that the AdMech simply won't put up a fight past this turn because he won't have any clock remaining.
Yeah, agreed. And yeah, I'd love to get if we get Demeki over there to give us a call on how much time these guys have got left. Or maybe wait
So,
until we're starting round 3 because yeah, we've got what half an hour left in the round as of this second. We've got half an hour left
yes.
in the
So
round.
Demeki
And
just came up to me and just informed me the AdMech player has only 11 minutes left on the clock, whereas Drukhari has 21 minutes. So
with 3 turns left to be played. I mean, if I was even the Drukhari player in this situation, I'd be like, oh, a bit worried. But as it sits right now, I mean, like Sean doesn't need to do anything. Sean doesn't need to do
no.
anything at all. Essentially, he could lose everything except the mandrakes and his blob in the bottom right and still get 15s.
What my wonder
Like,
is
it's hilarious.
it's a little difficult to see, and maybe Debecki can tell us how many units are actually in the bottom right for the Drukhari, because if he has enough leftover units, literally all he has to do every turn is leave his characters down there and then just throw 1 unit here
Exactly.
at every
Throw
turn,
one
and
unit
that's
there.
it.
Yeah. Well,
That's all he needs to do.
the only thing he might want to invest in is he's taking raise the banners. Oh, that's true. He's probably got banners on 3 objectives easily, and his opponent 4 objectives. He's probably got banners on 4. He has to have banners on 4 objectives.
Yeah, banner
He's
here,
scored
banner here,
4
banner
points.
here, and banner here.
He scored 4 points on it in his turn 2. He's got 4 banners up. How
And I
does
don't think
how does he pull any down? I mean, the Rushdockers next turn go up to pull up objective 3 in the middle left. They pull that one down.
I think
But
this is the only one they
it.
can get to. That's
Yeah,
it.
the 2 middle ones are the only 2 they can pull down. And guess what? Lilith's going to go straight into the Rustalkers next turn, probably. Although they can just make her fight last, can't they?
Well,
No, that's the AdMech side of things.
Yeah, do they not have Tempercordia? I don't know if that unit has Tempercordia or not.
I will look it up. How many models in that unit? Because he does have a bigger unit and a smaller
Looks
unit.
like 7 maybe.
So he has a 7-man that just has Transonic Blades, and this 8-man has the Tempercordia. So it is. I want to know if there's 7 or 8 in that unit. It's 7. It's a 7-man. They don't have anything. Lilith, take him out. Go for it.
Okay, so Demeki just told me something ridiculous, which is apparently down in the bottom right corner, there may be as many as
7, 8, 9
units left in that corner, which means free,
yeah.
and then he's got primary every turn.
Yeah, so literally, Sean has turned this into Hammer and Anvil. He's literally he's done a hard flank deployment, possibly with a redeploy from the left-hand side to the right-hand side after he saw he was going first. He's dived his entire conglomerate of 8 Venoms right down the right-hand side of the table, blobbed up, charged through in his turn 2, taken out anything in the bottom right-hand deployment zone for the Skitarii side, the AdMech side, and is now just sitting there, sitting pretty on knowing he's got the primary score, knowing he's got 15 in the bank for 2 to the last, and he raised enough banners to safely coast to at least 3 points a turn on that secondary. He's just on easy street right now. He doesn't need to do anything, which is it might be why the AdMech player is like using so much time,
hard.
just being like, what do I got to do? I've got all this gun, but it's not getting me points. But I've got so much gun, but that's not getting me points. And you know, it's
this is definitely one Achilles heel of playing the Flyers. Is they essentially don't score objectives for you. And clearly, I would believe our predictions are correct that the units of Sicarians down here were likely the ones with Tempercordia, which means that he just bum rushed him to take them out of the game entirely.
Yeah.
And with both Cult of Strife to fight first, likely is Archon with Fight Last still alive, and Incubi. I mean, there's no real way that you can effectively have these Rustalkers come in and actually perform anything effective.
Exactly right. Well, they can go in and be traded for 1 or 2 units at best, and that's it.
So we just heard word. It looks like the game has been called. There's no way for the AdMech to win this game, and they're talking out the rest of it right now to get scores.
Fair enough. As it sits right now, I think he's going to get a pretty healthy engage on all fronts. He's probably going to get another 2 or 3 turns to grind them down. And he took raise the banners himself, and so he's going to get like one banner, possibly 2 banners rest of the turn. Like the Rust Stalkers can go up, put a banner up on
maybe
number
2
3.
points at the end of the game, and that's about
Yeah.
it.
Well, so he'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we get 5 more points.
5 total.
3 for holding the bottom left. Next turn he can take number 3, and then 2 more at the end of the game for holding those 2. Whereas Naden looks like he's just about going to max every damn thing.
Yeah, it's hard for. Well, I don't know if he will get any more Herd the Prey specifically, but with To the Last, I don't see any way for the AdMech to get rid of To the Last.
So, do you remember what I said about this mission? That the two objectives in your deployment zone are so far away from each other you can't support them. So you got to pick one side of the table or the other. Naden did. His opponent didn't. And that's the difference. His opponent spread his force out evenly across both home objectives, lost half his board force, and realized he didn't have enough presence, actually boots on the ground to contest the table anymore. Whereas Naden just picked one half of the table, absolutely dominated it, and just it is what it is. Give us a total read of the scores, my brother.
Okay, so we have the final scores here. Only 25 primary for Colt Mechanicus, so that's a total of 41 for the Colt Mechanicus. That is less than I think we expected him to have as a showing, and it looks like Drukhari is going a full board, full points. The thing I didn't take into consideration with Herd the Prey is that the AdMech player timed himself out, so he can't even kill the units that are in the upper corners, which means you max out Herd the Prey. So we're looking at a perfect game for Sean Naden. That is unbelievable. I never would have expected it to be that high of a score.
So James Kelling, looks like I get max points but can't finish the game. Sean Naden has 25 minutes on his clock. And what I assume has happened is the AdMech player has conceded at this point, knowing he cannot score enough points to change Sean's score in any meaningful way. Literally, if the AdMech player goes super hard on Sean's scoreboard, he might take 5 points off the 100 that he was going to get. Literally, that might be the only difference.
And I think that's very specific.
Yeah, exactly. If he plays in a very specific way and is willing to sacrifice all his models, it's not going to win him the game. I see nothing problem with this stuff, but yeah, absolutely right. I'm not a huge fan of players talking it out, especially when they're on stream. Just play it out. It's another half hour, guys. Not a big deal. You got a lunch break coming up. Just play it out. But we're not here to tell them what to do or dictate any terms to the players here. Just here to enjoy the ride. And yeah, that was a very enjoyable one because that is so right now. The freebooters is what everyone is scared of, but the Stratoraptors is what I think is winning the most events, right? The Stratoraptors, the AdMech is just winning everywhere, especially in the UK and in Europe. It's just absolutely dumpstering everybody. So it's really keen to see that there is a Drukhari list that we thought was a horrible matchup, got a max point win. There is hope there.
Well, and clearly we can see, especially with yesterday's games, the freebooters list is a bit of a boogeyman, but it also has 2 really big Achilles heels, whereas the AdMech doesn't seem to have, on face value, doesn't seem to have either of those problems. So maybe Naden is just, a wunderkind with regards to this very different Drukhari take. But I think AdMech still has the capability to run into the finals. But I think there was maybe some mistakes in the AdMech player in that game early that essentially cost him the rest of the game.
So it's just they saw the game and they saw it from different points of view. Naden's like, okay, I need to do this exact thing to win, and I have the capabilities of doing that thing. And the AdMech player, I think, was just a bit confident, being like, well, I don't think you can do anything. I'm just going to kill you. And did work out that way. I mean, he killed everything. He killed like everything he tried to kill. It was just a bunch of compromised 5-man units from Naden, but it didn't matter. The points were there. The secondaries were perfectly picked. I've really, against 8 Venoms, picking banners when those 8 Venoms can all have OBSEC in them, picking banners is a bold choice, Cotton. It's a bold choice.
Well, especially because he's, he doesn't have any transports. None of his units are particularly fast. So I don't know how he was expecting to get so much board presence in his 6 objective game. Especially when he tied himself so deep in a corner against a list that's not really designed to shoot him down.
Exactly right. Did you see do you get what I mean about the 2 home objectives? Trying to hold both your home objectives is actually a mistake sometimes. Because if your opponent gets to one of them, you don't get it back.
Well, especially because we were talking about now we're seeing obviously different terrain on this table, but if the AdMech had just focused hard onto this side, he would have had immense firing lanes going that way.
Yeah, exactly right. Remember again what I said? It just pull back, run away, 2 turns of a shooting phase, and then try and get a 15 turn 4, 15 turn 5, and hopefully that's enough. It also would have allowed him to get like 2 or 3 banners up as well. But who knows? Who knows? It is what it is.
Well, it would have also, potentially, if he kept control of these 2 table quarters, it would have essentially denied Sean from being able to get the full herd the prey as well.
Exactly right.
So,
exactly right.
I mean, it's in any case, he's essentially combating the game that Naden is trying to play and trying to play the best of his army. I think he was just overconfident in his ability to control the bottom right objective. So we're seeing this game. It looks like on table 3.
Hey, you're playing AdMech, you know. Of course you're gonna be confident.
Yeah, of course. Now it looks like on table 3, it looks like this game is wrapping up. There might not be any Beasts of Nurgles left, and so I was mistaken. It looks like they may have actually killed all of the Beasts of Nurgle there.
May have gotten a table in. But let's see if that's enough on the scoreboard for him to actually win, because Hayden has put up a huge lead on him. We thought he was putting up like a 30-point lead, so he needed to get. Sorry, it was a 33-point lead. We need to get 30 points that Scott needs to make up in the difference in order to win this game, we believe. Sorry, 24 points. Apologies.
So he will at least get 15 primary, obviously, because he will. Yeah. There won't be anything left in the Disciples list, so he'll score 15 in the final turn for primary. But the secondaries, if he's behind by even 2 or 3 points, he might not have enough to actually take the lead in this game.
Well, we said that the no prisoners score, if he wiped him, would have given him those 2 points. We could have been seeing a draw, possibly even a small win or a tiny 1-point loss, if he had taken that one instead. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see, because I don't think either of these players have played this poorly. But I think Hayden has just been like, well, I am so dead that I'm just going to throw everything against the wall and going to score every single point I can. I think it's exactly what I needed to do.
Yeah, I would think that the only mistake we depending if Hayden doesn't take the win here, the only mistake we might have seen him play is that he may have committed too much too early. That would be the thing that I would argue is that maybe he could have waited an extra turn to lose all of his bloodletters. But I mean, we don't know, because I would have dropped probably both bloodletter bombs at the same time on opposite sides of the board, so it splits the flesh mowers up.
Yeah, knowing that you have 2 banners of blood, they both have. Yeah, because essentially he looks like I don't want to say this may have been the mistake, but the fact that you had 2 flesh mowers able to engage 1 unit of bloodletters probably means they didn't go into the right spot.
Yeah,
seeing as they're the only things that he has that are going to punch them down wholesale, you can literally charge anything else except the damn flesh mowers and be pretty confident of having them there for 2 or 3 turns.
Yeah, I wonder if the better option maybe was to bring the bloodletters down on the left side here and then have them go into this corner versus just the Rhino.
Just the Rhino, yeah.
I mean, they'll be on that Plague Burst Crawler. He can surround it if necessary, and they'll just essentially be there together unless he is able to bring a flesh mower all the way over from the opposite side. So.
Exactly right. Jotson, please. What's the clock usually starting? Usually starting at 90 minutes apiece. That's after taking 10 minutes to do the pre-game stuff and during the self-deployed terrain. So yeah, usually starts around 90 minutes a player. Although actually not. Yeah, I might be incorrect there. Sorry.
So just real quick, Demeki, can you give us the final score on table 3? So it looks like table 3 is done.
Wrapping up as well. Beautiful.
So it was the final score for the Demons list, the Disciples of Be'lakor versus the Death Guard. It was 79 to Disciples versus 74 for Death Guard. So it looks like that secondary was exactly what we said. It decided the game.
Well, it's only 2 points difference, so I still don't think he made up.
Oh, because he did get 10 for assassination.
He got 10 for assassinate, yeah. So it wasn't enough. It still wasn't enough. It was just one more turn of Stranglehold. Like I said, it was that one turn. If he can cripple his primary on turn 3, and then by doing so also deny Stranglehold, that might be it. Turns out it was. We're gonna pivot back to the studio, guys. We're gonna give you guys the wrap up. Tell you when we're gonna be back. Holy man, that was a pretty good. Despite our top table being over in what?
Okay.
The role to go first. Our last 2 games were really interesting, really exciting.
We did. I mean, the top table went almost exactly as predicted, so there wasn't exactly anything unseen there, but I think we got a great surprise on Naden's table. He just played that game so well. It's unbelievable.
Shows you why he's so well regarded, so highly respected, and why he's a threat in every single room he walks into. He's like, wow, he's a threat.
As we pointed out on table 3, it looks like the Death Guard may have made a mistake with that secondary, but honestly, I think it's what we talked about. He just didn't have the mobility committed in the right places to actually be aggressive on the board, and that cost him.
That could have been what ended up being the killer play. Those 2 Bloodletter Bombs going into the same place, essentially making sure that 2 of those Flesh Mowers stayed up in the top right-hand corner.
Forcing him in that corner, yes.
Forcing him in that corner. So that could have been the play by in the opposite way by Hayden. Because, of course, those Flesh Mowers get into your back line. He's going to turn Be'lakor around to go pick him out? Because nothing else is going to kill him.
No, of course not. So those were some amazing round 1 games. You want to talk about... Yeah, so next round, round 2 of day 2 will start in roughly 1 hour, 1:15 Pacific Standard Time. So if you want to join us back in 1 hour, we'll see all of you there. For now, hopefully we see some awesome matchups going into round 2. I cannot
Absolutely
wait.
Right. From here on out, guys, we will be... So usually from round 5 onwards, we just call the top 3 tables, right? We just have table 1, table 2, table 3. And so you'll be seeing the best SoCal has to offer. Some absolute guns at this event. Some really exciting lists.
Absolutely.
Like, share, subscribe, get involved. Thank you so much to everybody in chat. And Andrew, take us out. See you in an hour.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. Once again, this is SoCal Open 2021. We'll see you in an hour for round 5. Thanks for joining us.